Okay, this is Aleksey from Ace5 Studios for cgtutsplus.com. We're making a planet, we're texturing it, and let's begin. So, first things first, let's make a sphere. It's always a good way to start a planet with a sphere. It's the planet Earth. The planet Earth is pretty much round. So, first thing, we're going to need some textures. So, where are we going to get some textures? From this wonderful website that we have. This website is called planetpixelemporium.com. But if you just type in Earth textures into Google, you will see that it's the first link after the images. And now we have these images, and you just click on them, and then you download them, and you save them to your computer. And I already have them here. It's always a good idea to put them in a folder called text, in the same place where you save your project. So, let's go back to, let's go back to Cinema, go File, Save As, or East, Work, cgtuts, Earth Texturing, and call it Toot, or you can call it whatever you want, Earth_0001. Good idea to put zeros and numbers on the end of your file, because then when you save stuff, you go File and you go Save Incremental, and it adds a little 2, as you can see there, to your file. So it incrementally saves them, and that's really good for going back to previous versions. I also have it set to a shortcut. As you can see here, it's Control-Alt-S. You can set that yourself by pressing Shift-F12, or right-clicking on any of these icons and going Customize Palettes, and this thing also comes up. You right-click, Customize Palettes, and then here you just go Name Filter, and you go Incremental, and there it is. And you can attach a shortcut by putting it in there and then going Assign. So, there you go, small tip right there. So, let's start applying textures and making material. Firstly, we need the planet material. So, double-click in the material manager, whatever it is. It might be down here, it might be somewhere else. You can go Create New Material. I like to double-click, and then double-click on it to get the material window. So, firstly, we need to apply our Earth texture. So this is our Earth textures. There's different ways of doing it. You can click here and you can browse to it, but I prefer just having it open and dragging it onto the field. In Windows, it's very easy to use. I think on Mac you can do it as well now. Yeah, it's my preferred way. So, we have the Earth texture. We apply it to the planet, and, look, it looks like Earth, right? If we hit render, it's nice, but we still got to work on it. So first, as you can see here in the preview, it's very low quality. So what you can do is you can go down to Editor, and you can change the texture preview size, say 1024, and now it looks a lot cleaner. So once you said that, we need to apply reflection on the water material. That's what I like to do first. So if we just turn on reflection and you hit render, first it'll be black because now it's 100% reflective and it's reflecting the environment around it, which happens to be black. So if we turn it down and we hit reflect and we hit render, you'll see that you can see it now, but it's not reflecting anything because there's nothing to reflect. So as a beginning point, let's get plane, make it pretty large. Move it up, and let's make another new material and give it luminance and apply it to the plane. Now if we render, you'll see we have reflection. How great is that? As you can see, unfortunately it's reflecting kind of uniformly. It looks like a marble with just the material under it, which is not really what we're after. What we want is we want the water to be reflective, but the soil to be unreflective. So, how do we achieve that? Well, as you notice on your website, there's a whole bunch of maps, and one of them is called Specular Map. Specular Map is useful because it has black for the Earth and white for the ocean. So we can use that to drive the reflection channel in our material here. If we go reflection, and we get our texture maps, and we drag the black and white one here. Now, if you render, you will see that the water is completely reflective, 100% reflective. the soil is not. If, for example, you want it to be the other way around, you can always click on this texture, and you can go black point 1 and white point 0. And now if you hit render, you get the opposite. All the soil is 100% reflective, and you can see the reflection, and the planet isn't. I mean, the water isn't. So, but we want it the way it was before, so we go back to 0, 1. As you can see, white reflective, black not reflective. Basically the same concept as if we get rid of this by turning the mix strength down if we hit render. If the material is white, as you can see here, it's completely reflective. But if the material is black, I'll show you better, because this brightness controls the overall brightness of the material color. We can go black here to demonstrate, and now we render, see no reflection. I just prefer to use a slider because it's kind of, I don't know, it's keyframeable, unlike this stuff, and sometimes you need that. Anyway, so now let's bring this mix in back. As you can see, we can mix the two together, so this one, for example, is going to be a bit reflective, and then if we put this to 100%, as you remember, we get complete reflection there and 0 there, but if we move it down, we get only a bit of reflection there, which is very convenient, and we're mixing it with, a dark color. So if we make this color fully white, then you can see that surface getting very reflective as well, which is not what we want. What we want is we don't really want to mix this at all, because we're going to make a layer, and we're going to adjust its reflection manually. So this can be 100 or 0, and it'll still look the same if this mix strength is on full. So we're going to click this little arrow, and we're going to click layer. And if you can see it, it's down there just below fusion, colorize, filter, fusion, and there'll be layer. And now in this layer, we can create shader, which is color. And as you can see now, this kind of went all reflective again. But we're going to put this color below, and we're going to make this color black, so no reflection. And now we're going to mix this here. So now if we render, we have that effect that we had before, but it's in a separate layer tree. And the reason I want to do this is because I want the outside to be more reflective than the inside of this. So we're going to do a shader, we're going to go Fresnel. Now if you hit render, you'll see again see how the outside is reflective and the inside is not reflective at all. But we want to combine this, and we want it to be only on the white areas of the existing thing. So what we do is we go multiply, and now, see, land not reflective, water reflective, and it grades from fully reflective to not reflective. Thing is, I still like the center to be a bit reflective. So we're going to go into Fresnel, we're going to get our black, and we can unfold it here. And we're going to make our black just slightly wider, so that when you hit render, you can still see this edge, so it doesn't completely disappear. And now we have our reflection channel. And if we want, we can make the white slightly less reflective, so it's not 100% reflective on the outer bounds. As you can see, there it is, and we have this kind of nice gradation of the water's reflection. It's grading from a bit reflective to more reflective. And there we have the reflection channel. Now I want to add some luminance to this, because I want to make the outside of this thing glow. Luminance makes the whole thing white. Not very attractive. So let's go back to our favorite shader, which is Fresnel. As you can see here, I have a cube, by the way. To change this, you just go sphere or rounded cube. Just a preference. I just get bored sometimes looking at spheres, so I change this. So as you can see, now we hit render, we have a white border around it. Not quite what we want. So let's go to Fresnel, and once again, this controls the luminance. See, we have the texture controlling the luminance of this, of this material channel. We can also drag in our, our Earth spec map into here. And now, as you can see, the water's all luminant and the land isn't. But let's undo that. So let's change the color to blue. That doesn't do anything. Why? Because we have 100% here. If we change the channel to the mix mode to multiply, then you can see now we're using the Fresnel to drive the color of the luminance. So let's make the luminance a nice light blue. And let's make it a bit darker. We don't want it to be glowing too much. And let's go into the Fresnel and let's drag it all out the water. Oops, not too much. There we go. See, we can control just where the glow is. So I want the glow to be just around the outside, just around the edges. And now maybe I can even make it a bit brighter again. So you can see the live update here as well. You hit render. And there we go. We have a nice little glow around it. Now, kind of the glow looks kind of fake. Whoops. Let's make the glow a bit darker and a bit more blue and just a bit more subtle. Okay, good. I'm liking it. Now, what are we going to do next? We're going to make this land a bit more joyful in color. Right now it's kind of dull. So let's go to our color channel. Go to textures, let's make it layer. And let's add effect, hue saturation, for example. And now we can modify the hue. Let's make it green, but let's not do that. Let's just make it a bit more saturated. There you go. So it's, a bit more joyous, so to say. Now, as you can see also the water, currently I don't like the water. As you can see in my animation here, the water was kind of this pretty blue, and I don't know, it was just nicer. So, what we're going to do, actually we also need to add an HDRI map. I forgot about that. Let's add our HDRI map. Our HDRI map, we can press Shift F8. It'll bring up our, what's it called? Once it comes up, I'll tell you what it's called. It can be a bit laggy, or maybe I just press the wrong combination. Where is it? Where'd it go? Content browser. There it is. It was hidden off screen. Okay. So, let's go. Presets. Prime. Materials. HDRI. These come with Cinema 4D R13, I think R12 as well, with all the prime bundles. Let's pick us an HDRI map. Let's pick this one, or this one. This one looks nice. So, let's drag it here. Now I have an HDRI map. Let's add a sky object. Sky. Not a physical sky, just a regular sky. And apply it to the sky. Now, as you can see, if we render now, we get the reflections in there, which is nice, but we also see this background thing, which is weird. So what we do is we add Cinema 4D tag, right click on the sky, and go compositing tag. There it is. And we go attributes, once we have it selected, and we go scene by camera. And then we can control drag this thing onto the plane. And now, control click and drag it on. And now when we render, we don't see the plane or the HDRI map, but we still see it in our material. Isn't that great? So, let's go back to our materials. Now, the ocean. We were talking about the ocean. As you can see in my other file, our ocean, we had even an interesting layer on top of a layer, which was using a layer mask. So, you can see we had a whole hierarchy of stuff here. And I adjusted the hue in this layer thing, and then I added, anyway, I'll show you what I did. So, as you can see, this is a Fresnel on top of a color. It actually has noise as well, must have turned that off. Anyway, I'll show you what it is. It's Fresnel on top of color. So, what we're going to do is we want to add a new shader. It'll be a Fresnel shader. And I want it to go from, let's see our reference, from light blue to green to dark blue. Let's do that. So let's unfold this. Let's change this to light blue. And then let's add some green aqua to it. And then this thing can be blue. Increase the brightness there. Okay, dark blue. Does not look like what I want it to look, so let's keep tweaking this thing until we get something that we want. let's make this blue a bit more aqua, so maybe make this blue a bit more aqua. I think this blue is too aqua, so there we go. Wonderful. Just tweak it so it grades nicely. Maybe make this blue a bit more, a bit less saturated. No, I think that's right. Maybe drag this out a bit. You know, a lot of this is tweaking to what you like. I think this is good. Okay, now the problem is now it kind of covered our whole Earth and it just became blue. You can still see the reflection is still, you know, not reflecting there, but the color kind of screwed up. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a image. And our image is going to be from our textures. So, oops, let's get our images. That's where they are. We're going to use this. And we're going to use this as a mask. Oops. Yes, as a layer mask. As you can see, if we drag in the right order, we have the Fresnel on top of the speck. Now, the water has been completely changed color. However, we want it to be more of a multiply effect, or maybe even a screen effect. Let's see what we had before, because generally this is just like a lot of, you know, just normal at 16, okay? Even easier. Just change the material. Like, there's a lot of like kind of hardcore maths behind all this, different effects, and some of them are obvious, you know, multipliers when you multiply the white by the, you know, the value from 0 to 100 by each other, and you get somewhere. But you know, most of it's just use normal or multiply or just go through them and see what happens. So yeah, there we go. Look, we're getting the desired effect. See, this is nice. Now it's a bit more blue. If without this, you can see the material is kind of dull. But with this, it gets a bit, you know, a bit more joyous, so to say. So let's tweak this more. Let's go effect, brightness, contrast. Let's add some contrast to this. Ooh, too much contrast. Nope, not enough brightness. Let's increase the gamma a bit. There we go. I think this is looking better. Wonderful. See? We're already getting there. As you might have noticed, I was talking how I had noise in the other place. So here, I'll show you. By the way, I flip between projects by pressing Control tilde, Shift F12, and you'll see if I type in next project, there you go, it's a shortcut, it's Control tilde. You can put whatever shortcut you want, but it's a very convenient shortcut for flipping between open projects. So, you can see in this layer here, we use the Fresnel color, so yeah, the noise. I was going to use the noise, but obviously I changed my mind. But I can show you what effect that would do, because you can still apply it. You know, if we make this into a shader layer. Sorry. I think my control key is stuck. There we go. Delete this, please. There we go. Now let's make a shader, which is called layer. I don't want to let us drag it in directly. But maybe if we copy this channel and then, whoops, we go into the layer. And we just make a Fresnel, and then we go paste channel. There we go, we have it in there. Wonderful, right? So let's hide this one. Let's move this one down here since we have a layer. And let's add the effect, let's add some noise. Shader noise. Now, as you can see, it's kind of not exactly what we want, but if we click multiply, there we go, we have it on top. Let's also bring the noise down a bit. And let's adjust the noise to be slightly small scale maybe. and now hit render. So yeah, now it's kind of ocean. I guess this is why I didn't like the effect. But the point is you can stack all these shaders you have into each other, and you can copy and paste them into the channels, you know, by right-clicking and bring them around. So now let's turn off this layer, let's turn back our Fresnel. We got the planet going somewhere where I liked it. Right now though, I don't like, I think it's too bright. Let's bring the brightness back down. No, maybe the brightness, the contrast was better. No, it's honestly, it's just artistic choice. You just keep, you know, tweaking it until you get something that you like. Like this one that I had. Sure, it took me a lot longer to tweak it. Anyway, not important. Also, keep in mind there's global illumination. The other one don't have global illumination yet. But I'm showing you the techniques on how to apply this. You know, once you've got the techniques, you can tweak it to your heart's content. Let's keep this going. In our other project, we had a bump also. This bump is mostly just for the... No, so two things. It's for the ocean, as you can see there, and it's also for our land. So, and we use again the Earth spec map to blend them together. So, let's go bump. And in bump, we need a... Let's first drag the color channel into it. Where's our bump? There's Earth bump. Now, as you can see the Earth bump, if you max it out, it adds the bump to, you know, adding like mountain range effects kind of thing, which is really nice. It makes the whole thing look a lot less flat. So you can already see that it's kind of tweaked. So let's make this into a layer. Layer, we go in, we now see our channel. And let's insert an image, our Earth spec map. Now, as you can see, what happens is the black is down and the white is up. We're using the same thing, the color control. And so you can see it's like indented. If you flip this around, you'll see it kind of pops out. So there's an effect, but that's not what we're doing. We're going back to 0 and 1. And now we're adding a shader and we're adding noise. And we're going to change this to layer mask. As you can see, layer mask basically controls where the layer above it has an effect. So as you can see here, now we have the ocean has that kind of bump, and the planet has, the soil has no bump. We have the bump, it has a bump from the bitmap below it. So let's change this noise type to electric, and the noise, the global scale to 10, and hit render. And that does not look good at all. Nope. So let's pick a different noise. Let's pick Ober. Now let's drag it down as well so it's not so strong. Maybe that'll help as well. Change it to something like 7. And there we go. It already looks nicer. I think we can even drag it all the way down to like 2. Because there you go. It just needs to be tiny ripples on the bottom of the layer. It doesn't need to be, huge wavy. That's the thing with bump maps. They have to be subtle. They just they distort the reflection, and they just make this nice effect overall. So we got our planet. See what we have there. Okay, let's just check what else I did so that we can talk about materials. I'll show you how to apply the letter materials later on when we add the booles. But as far as the texture goes, yeah, we covered it with the reflection, multiply, Fresnel, we got the colors, we got the bump. Oh, good. So, sweet. I'll see you in the next part. I'll show you how to add booles and how to add more materials to the words and all that wonderful fun stuff. But this covered how to use texture maps and how to apply them in layers to an object. Also, wait, before I go, I'm going to show you something else. Last thing I'm going to show you. Displacement channel. It's very similar to the bump channel. If you watch my 101 introduction, you'll know what I'm talking about. In the displacement channel, it's basically like bump, but it's real. Bump is fake. Like with bump, if you look from the side, like it looks real here, but it's actually still flat on the edge of the surface. However, if we get this bump thing and we go copy and we go and put it into displacement, see here it actually sticks stuff out now. And if we just render now, it won't really work because there's not enough resolution. But if we click sub-polygon displacement and we hit render, and we increase the intensity to 30, and we take round geometry. As you can see, there's still no effect for some bizarre reason. I think I may know why, because the sphere needs to be editable. There we go. As you can see, this just all went very weird because of incredibly high settings. So let's change this height thing back to 5, and let's hit render. There you go. See, that's what's happening. And as you can see, you can actually, the terrain is actually popping out now. You can see the ice caps and stuff, which is a really cool effect. Overused a while ago, but still very nice. The thing you see is still it's kind of jaggedy. So what you want is you want to increase the sub-polygon level to maybe 5. And now it'll be a bit less so. Maybe blur this layer mask. Because currently this layer mask, let's turn it off for now. Let's just use the bitmap of the soil. Let's not displace the water with this. There you go, it's nicer, but still the jagged edges are nice, so let's increase the blur here to 3% on each one. There you go, that smooths it out a bit, see? It's nicer. So yeah, displacement creates actual geometry on your model, which reflects and casts shadows and stuff, but it obviously takes longer to render. At the moment, not such a big hit on the render times because, it's a simple scene. But as you get more complex stuff, especially if you have a lot of objects, bump maps are a lot more efficient if you don't need to see the pieces, popping out. So if it's like a brick wall, which you're never going to see from a very low angle, bump maps work wonderfully. But if you can use normal maps now, but they're more difficult to generate. Sorry, I've got hiccups. So yeah, that's the displacement thing. That's what I wanted to show you. Let's add a infinite light. Seems very overblown for some reason. Hit render. There is something very wrong with the settings of that light. Attributes, general, well off, none. There we go. I think I changed the standard setting somewhere. But look, wonderful, right? We've got a little planet. And if you want, you can add another light. Turn off this if it's still on, and tick ambient illumination, and drag it down to 46%. Ta-da! You got a little planet with textures and stuff on it. How neat is that? So next part, I'll show you how to add booles and animate them, and then how to add words with spline wraps, and you'll have the rest of the planet. I think I'm going to get rid of the displacement though, because this is a bit intense. But just thought you should know how to use it. So yeah, I'll see you in the next part.